Good afternoon. My name is Tim Donohue, and this is my presentation on the book Act Like a Leader, Think Like a Leader. The three ideas I found most important in the book: number one was the outside principle, number two was effective leaders need to collaborate across their organizations today, and number three, the leadership transition process. The outside principle. Why did I find this important? In order to think like a leader, you must, and I think the most important principle, the outside principle, was you must first act. You have to plunge yourself into new projects, into new ideas, into new activities, and don't wait to be included. You're going to be left behind if you wait. New technologies are emerging every day that could help improve business operations and the bottom line, and you want to be in front of those opportunities. The second one is to interact. You have to move around across your organization. You have to interact with people in your industry. You have to learn more about what's going on in the industry and in your building. The workplace is becoming more and more diverse, and with many new ideas coming forward, you want to be learning those ideas. They may help you in your job. And the third one is to try new things and experiment with unfamiliar ways of getting things done. There are new approaches to getting things done that are coming out every day, and they could make things more efficient. So you have to get out there and try them. Number two, effective leaders need to collaborate across their organizations today. Why is this important? From my perspective, well, with the emergence of things like digital business, digital business leaders from different business units will need to collaborate more than ever to develop new products and services. Digital business is using big data and being able to improve the current products and services you have based on information that you can gather, and also to create new products and services. Effective leaders today need to move out of their silos as well to meet the needs of today's business challenges. Very important. And leaders need to embrace rapid development methodologies, which require them to sit across the table and work together. They have to be in a creative form and in a critical thinking form. These are all very important. Companies are doing this all the time now. Apple has got what they call the co-design process, which pulls the business leaders together with the technicians and the testers, and they're pounding out their solution in one or two sessions as quickly as they can. Same thing with Microsoft. They're using DevOps, same kind of concept. Agile development with the business present. And number three, understanding the leadership transition process. Very important. Effective leaders lead to transition from managing day-to-day operational activities to more strategic leadership mindset. Very important. Leaders need to redefine themselves. You have to get out there and learn new things. You have to redefine your job. You have to redefine your roles, and you have to acquire new skills. The 5 transition stages, very important. One must journey through to be successful. Disconfirmation, which is understanding that gap between where you are and where you want to be. You have to do a self-assessment and self-analysis. Simple addition, adding new roles and behaviors to old ones. Yes, very important. Complication, work to avoid backsliding, setbacks. You don't want to go back to some of your old behaviors and some of your old roles. Course correction, refocus on outside principles if you need a course correction. And then internalization, you want to internalize what you've learned. You want to internalize your new roles, your new behaviors, so that they become a part of you. I also offer a different perspective on the book, and I would focus on the rapid technology change and the impact that it's having on leaders. Technology is becoming part of the business. GE recently rebranded themselves as a digital business company. What does that mean? I mean, when you think of GE, you think of appliances and a whole bunch of stuff. But now they're saying, no, we're not that. We're a digital business. So they're taking a look at big data and trying to understand how they can improve their services using big data. Digital services are becoming increasingly valuable. Predictive analytics is being used to predict future consumer behavior. And it's being done more accurately than ever before, using better demographic information and more information on past behavior. Okay, go into a store, they know what you buy, and they're gonna send you a coupon on what you buy next to try to encourage you to come back. Businesses will need more strategic leaders who can understand both the technology, the business and technology, to be effective and efficient, in developing effective, efficient solutions. Okay, and then they talked about the concept of chameleons versus true selfers. Very interesting. The chameleon example that I have is one. I work in IT governance in the IT department at TTX, and I have to interface between our other two groups that we have. We have an infrastructure group and a development team. And so when I meet with the infrastructure team, I try to address them in their technical terms or jargon. What's the capacity and system resource requirements? Things that they understand, machine memory, storage, and what's the impact of the change on system operations? They think in terms of systems. When I meet with the developer team, I address them in terms of functional requirements. What's the business needs for proposed change? What's the impact of the change on business operations? Chameleons versus true selfers. The true selfer example I have is myself. When I'm in a manager meeting with my peers, I generally argue for ideas that I have presented or that I know come from what I consider to be credible sources, somebody who thinks like me. I do not support other ideas unless they have some facts and data that back them up. And I won't say things unless I believe the idea has merit. And I think that's like most people. And I would describe myself as a true selfer. Why? Because I prefer facts and data when confronted with challenges. I had a mentor who valued and told me, stick to facts and data. You never go wrong. And for the most part, that person has been correct. Um, and I know, but I also know though that in the long term, this advice has helped me become a strong operational leader. But also, it's not as helpful when transitioning to a strategic leadership mindset. So it is something that I need to work on. Effective leaders tend to behave like chameleons. We learned this in the book. The highly effective ones are very like chameleons. The chameleons see the world from the perspective of others, and then they change to fit the prevailing perspective. A lot of politicians are very good at that. The challenge to make this transition is that you have to be perceived as being genuine to others. You can't just be, I'm just saying it because, this is, this crowd will like it. But you have to actually have a basis for being perceived as genuine. Networks. The book also talked about networks. Talked about the operational network, which my network operational helps me accomplish my internal responsibilities. But it generally does not reach outside of my department. And at this point in my career, it's fairly well developed. Personnel network is also one that I've built and includes trusted advisors. I would also say, though, I have developed quite a bit since I've been on the UNL program. The people that I've met in my classes, discussion groups, etc., have helped me expand my personal network even further. And I've reached out to them outside of the classes for information on how they're doing things. So my personal network, although it was well developed, is also continuing to develop, which I think is important. And then my strategic network, which focuses on direction and building strong cross-functional network. I need to work on that. I need to be able to work and get in contact with key business stakeholders more outside of my department and learn more about what's driving the business now. My strategic network for me at this point in my career is most important. To gain leadership and to advance, I need to focus on building a stronger strategic network. I've been in management for 15 years, and I primarily focused on the other two networks, operational and personal. So for me, and why this is important, in order to become an effective leader in an emerging digital business era, I would need to interact more with people outside of my functional area, and I will need to gain a better understanding of the changing business needs. Challenges to effective strategic network. My organization is traditionally silo-based. It's resistant to change. It's a railroad company. Railroad companies have been around for 150, almost 200 years in some cases, and the people tend to work in networks with little or no cross-functional connections. It's also very difficult to get fresh blood. We have people that have been here for 30 years. I have people in my department, the IT department, have been in this company for 30 years. And it also requires more of my time and attention outside of my operational demands. But I do feel I need to make that time and also make the effort. Okay, so the leader that I chose to discuss is Bruce Chanelli, who's our TTX CIO here. And I actually interviewed him. I thought it would be, I had worked with him the last 8 or 9 years, but I thought it'd be interesting to actually see if I knew him as well as I did. And I think in the most part I did. But why I chose Bruce is because he led us through a very significant, when he came aboard, a very significant technology transformation here at TDX that had to be done. It was critical to our survival. Um, we moved away from a mainframe-based flat file system to a more open system, a Windows-based system. So all of our applications had to be rewritten. This positions us to take advantage of business analytics capabilities, which would not have been available to us if we had stayed solely on the mainframe. What makes Bruce a leader, a effective leader? Well, he had the correct vision when he came to TTX 8 or 9 years ago. He recognized that the more modern technology was needed and that it would make business operations much more effective. He brought in new employees, and he encouraged the employees that were here to update their skills, but he also had to make the tough decisions. Sometimes you do have to make tough decisions. There were employees that didn't transition over to the new environment, they weren't going to be useful to the organization going forward. He also utilized some of his past experience and also some of the knowledge he's gained. He does hold a master's in operational efficiency, which gives him insight into how technology can be used to make business operations more efficient. What challenges did he have to overcome? Well, again, as I mentioned, there's a strong culture that valued years of service over modern skills or improving your skills. 30 years of service by some of these folks. Company-wide resistance to change. Every company has that. Cultures, people don't want to change. Hey, things are working fine now. Why do we want to change it? Well, they don't see the long-term picture yet, and they have to be, shown the long-term picture so they can make the changes necessary. And getting the right resources in the critical positions was important. Continuing searching for effective project managers was one of our struggles. It's very difficult to get good ones. And when you're doing a transformation, you need a lot of project managers. What roles did networks play in Bruce's leadership? Well, very important at his level. Being a CIO, he needs a very strong strategic network. He's a member of a number of leadership organizations, the CIO Executive Leadership Summit, and the Society of Information Management is another one that he taps into. He does quite a lot of travel. He also meets quite often with other strategic leaders in technology. He's very technology focused, probably more so than any boss I've had in the past, very much focused on technology. His network obviously has played a huge role in helping TTX set direction for TTX and helping us get through our technology transformation and also positioning us for emerging business analytics. Do you think Bruce is a chameleon or a true selfer? So I put the question to him, actually. I asked him what he thought based on what I told him the book had classified these two leadership personalities as. And as I expected, he said he was a true selfer. So he is an exception. He's a good leader, but he is an exception to the rule. And the reason we both felt he was a true selfer is he develops a vision and expects to be implemented in an effective and efficient manner. He's not an emotional person. He does not get emotional, and he's not flexible when it comes to implementing his vision. He delivers a single message, and he expects all to understand it. But in this case, there are some drawbacks. Some of the employees see his personality as being out of touch with some of their concerns, and it has led to a dip in employee morale, and we've seen that dip over a number of years as we're going through the transformation. So there are certainly some drawbacks. Okay, and so if you have any questions on my video or some of my content, please go ahead and post them and I will respond. And I look forward to seeing other people's videos, and I want to thank you very much. Thank you.